You know, for centuries, we've been fed a very specific and frankly kind of rigid story about human history. We're taught to picture ancient humans in the Neolithic era basically just scraping by, right? Sheltering in caves, gathering berries, maybe fashioning a rough spear. But there is a massive paradox staring us right in the face. All across the globe, these exact same ancient civilizations left behind physical, tangible evidence proving they had completely mastered advanced physics, structural engineering, friction, and even complex geometry. It all really boils down to this one totally burning question. How on earth did they actually do it? I mean, when your only tools are supposedly made of wood, animal bone, and, crummy rocks, how do you construct monuments that literally baffle modern engineers today? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive into 6 of the most mysterious sites on Earth to see exactly what kind of unexplained technology our ancestors left behind. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, acoustics and harmonic resonance. So when we think of megaliths, we usually just picture massive, heavy piles of rock, right? Well, our first stop, the Abu Gharaib ruins in Egypt, challenges that completely. This place was a solar temple built during the 5th dynasty of the Old Kingdom, right around 2500 BC, to honor the sun god Ra. Now today, the courtyard is kind of in shambles, but scattered in the sand are these absolutely bizarre alabaster stone basins. They feature these strange, gear-like edges, almost as if they were once interconnected parts of some massive machine. And inside, they have these perfectly round holes bored into them, complete with uniform groove marks that look incredibly, impossibly precise. So the crucial point here is how we actually interpret these basins, and the theories are wildly different. The mainstream scientific view asserts that these were used for animal sacrifices, basically acting as basins to catch blood that would then run through those tiny channels. However, it's really worth noting that absolutely no trace of blood has ever been found in these bowls. 0. On the flip side, alternative researchers suggest an energy matrix hypothesis. Because alabaster actually has natural crystalline properties, they propose these basins were filled with water and harmonically tuned. In this view, they acted as acoustic levitation hubs, or maybe resonators, as part of this massive sonic grid. Wild, right? And this whole acoustic mystery just deepens when we hop over to India. These are the Barabar caves in the state of Bihar, dating back over 2,200 years. Get this, they are carved directly out of solid granite bedrock. But what makes them an absolute marvel of engineering is this impossible, mirror-like finish on the interior walls. I mean, the solid granite looks literally just like glass. The ceilings curve seamlessly into the walls without a hint of warping, and bafflingly, there are absolutely no tool marks or joints anywhere to explain how this polishing was actually achieved. Now, mainstream historians generally classify the second room of these caves as a stupa. That's essentially a dome-shaped structure used for holding religious relics, which is actually very similar to how Abu Gharaib held the cult relics of Ra. The traditional view here is that these highly polished chambers were simply quiet spaces where monks went to meditate. But man, that meditation must have been absolutely intense. I mean, inside, a single clap doesn't just echo, it amplifies, like you're standing inside a giant guitar, ricocheting for more than 10 seconds. The disorientation is very real. The vibration is so intense, you can literally feel it shaking your bones. Because of this, alternative researchers argue these weren't just quiet little meditation rooms, but incredibly advanced acoustic resonators, energy amplifiers, or maybe even underground bunkers designed to shelter elites from some unknown, diabolical ancient weapon. Okay, moving right along to section 2, the heavyweights. So, shifting gears from the mysteries of sound to the sheer mind-bending impossibility of mass, welcome to the Yangshan Quarry near Nanjing, China. Now, this quarry has been used for centuries, but what makes it so extraordinary is what was left behind. Lying partially excavated, and actually still attached to the solid mountain rock, is this gigantic unfinished monument. It really appears to have been just abandoned right in the middle of being pulled out of the earth. Let's actually break down the numbers on the components of this stele, or stone pillar, because they are just staggering. The base alone weighs an astonishing 17,912 tons. The body is nearly 9,700 tons, and the head is over 6,700 tons. If you were to somehow put all 3 pieces together, this single monument would have weighed over 68 million pounds. To put that into perspective, fully assembled, it would stand 263 feet tall. That is more than half the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Once again, We've got two completely different schools of thought on how this came to be. Mainstream historians attribute this project to the Yongle emperor of the Ming dynasty in the 15th century. They suggest he commissioned it for his father's mausoleum, but just abandoned it when the architects realized, whoops, we carved way more than we could ever actually move. Alternative theorists, on the other hand, point out that these stones don't look medieval at all, they look exactly like prehistoric megaliths. They suggest these are actually the remnants of a far older, non-Chinese civilization, one that actually possessed the advanced knowledge and resources to lift millions of pounds. Now, unlike that unfinished project in China, our next site was actually completely finished. This is the Dolmen of Menga in southern Spain. It's a megalithic collective tomb that's almost 6,000 years old, and it is made entirely out of 32 colossal stones. Just to give you a sense of the sheer scale here, the single largest stone at this site weighs as much as a blue whale. That's the largest animal in the history of our planet. The entire site altogether weighs somewhere around 10,000 tons. So how exactly did they pull this off with just simple rock and bone tools? Well, a massive decade-long study led by Professor Leonardo Garcia San Juan finally mapped out the engineering process. First, they carved foundation sockets so incredibly deep that 1/3 of the stone was actually underground. Then, they angled the upright stones inwards at a perfectly uniform 84 or 85 degrees to create a trapezoid shape. They likely did this using stone plumb levels and bone framing squares. Next, they embedded the stones using counterweights, and finally, they moved the massive capstones into place over earthen ramps. The synchronicity is just perfect. Every single block locks together for maximum stability. It was clearly designed to last not just centuries, but practically until the end of time itself. All right, let's head into section 3, precision cuts and oddities. Moving away from massive weights and into straight-up physical anomalies, take a look at the Al-Nazla rock formation in the Taima Oasis of Saudi Arabia. This sits right at the site of the country's oldest human settlement and is at least 4,000 years old. It's covered in these amazing ancient petroglyphs, including an image of a person leading an Arabian horse. But the real focal point? It's the gap between these twin sandstone rocks. It is an impossibly smooth, perfectly straight split right down the middle. Honestly, it looks as though it was sliced in half by a highly advanced laser beam. So to explain this laser-like cut, mainstream geologists suggest that the rock sits directly on a fault line. They argue that tectonic shifts created a weak spot, and then a freeze-thaw cycle where water seeps in, freezes and expands, cracked the stone. After that, thousands of years of blowing desert sand just polished the edges smooth. Alternative theories, however, look at that perfectly straight line and suggest that ancient humans must have had hyper-advanced cutting tools. Or, yes, some even attribute this precise slice to space aliens doing a bit of target practice. Finally, let's take a trip over to stone carvings in all of Asia. You have the strange Saruishi, or monkey stones, depicting these weird human-monkey hybrids, and these massive Kofun royal tombs. But the absolute strangest is the Oni no Sechin, which is famously known as the demon toilet. Local folklore actually claims that fog-dwelling demons used a nearby rock as a cutting board to prep wayward travelers for dinner, and then used this gigantic monument as their toilet. But macabre legends aside, the physical reality of the stone is what's truly baffling. It features these impossibly smooth contours, perfect angles, and seamlessly carved walls that seem to serve no obvious purpose whatsoever, yet they exhibit highly advanced stonemasonry. And honestly, that brings us right back to our central paradox. Whether we're looking at stones that somehow manipulate acoustics, pillars weighing 68 million pounds, massive dolmens locked together for eternity, or rocks sliced with impossible precision, the engineering skills on display here just seem way too advanced for the tools these civilizations supposedly possessed. So we really have to ask, did they truly develop these techniques on their own while sheltering in caves? Or did they acquire this wisdom from a much more advanced, forgotten source? And if they did, what on earth happened to that technology? I'll leave you to think on that.